We Dig Community tells the stories of the people and organizations behind Community Bucket's service-made social mission. We hope you enjoyed this episode and, of course, subscribe to listen to future shows and stay part of the community.
Okay, welcome. We are live. Thank you for joining us, Matt. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course, we're really glad Matt Gattozzi is here with us today. He's one of the founding team members in Austin. So we're really glad to talk about a lot of things Austin and Bucket and a little bit of maybe marketing, branding today. So thank you for joining us. We will probably just let Matt dive in. The first thing I want to kind of talk to today is maybe you could tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're doing professionally before we maybe get into a few more Community Bucket things. But Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Really excited to be on this podcast. So a little bit about myself. As JC said, I'm in Austin and I have my own company. It's currently at this recording. It's called Gattozzi Collective. Very soon it's going to be rebranded to called Goodo Studios. But basically what we do is we create content for consumer brands. So we do photos and videos on a monthly subscription. And it's really fun to work with so many different companies in Austin, outside of Austin. Outside of work, I love to be in Austin. I've been here for almost 5 years now. So right before it really started to pop off as a city. So it's been amazing to see it grow. Kind of tying this into Community Bucket, I love this city a lot, and it's really become home to me. And for me, I really want to make sure that we are creating a community that loves our city, that takes care of our city, and take care of our neighbors. And I love being able to be involved with Community Bucket because I think it's such a fun way to get so many people out in the city, not only just to get to meet one another, but to serve the city. And I think that this is an up and coming city with a lot of young people moving here, and Community Bucket's like the perfect thing to not only build community and friends, but also to serve this city. And I think the impact we're going to see of Community Bucket is, 5-10 years from now, when we see all these service projects and people coming back year over year. So I'm excited to see Community Bucket grow in this city that's just booming right now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd love to talk a little bit about that, right? You said it's up and coming. We want to tell us a little bit more about how did you even find out about Community Bucket, right? You're obviously connected now. You helped kind of found one of the first team members. Perhaps you knew one of the other founding team members. Tell us a little bit about that.
So it was all about sliding into the DMs. So it actually happened where I wouldn't say that I'm a founding member, but I am on the the leadership team of things. But I had just come back from going to Africa. I was in Ghana, and I had just come back from there. I've been to Africa twice for 2 different nonprofits, and actually it was in Mozambique. And I had in my profile just kind of talked about, what I was doing there. And Ian Grossman, who is really the lead here in Austin, he was basically just reaching out to people about coming to this next event. And he saw that I just had been in Mozambique. And so he said, I feel like you're kind of this ideal person who is young, who is a professional, but also cares about the community and wanting to give back. And so we ended up grabbing coffee one day, and I just loved what Community Bucket was all about. It was kind of the perfect thing. And that's kind of how I got started into the leadership crew of people. And it's just really been a joy to really help out. For me, it's so cool to be able to use some of my skills in marketing and content and help other nonprofits when I can. And I've been able to do that with a few different ones. And I've been able to even travel. Like I said, I went to Ghana last February in 2020, and in 2019, I got to go to Mozambique. And so it's just been amazing to be able to do that. But it's also opened up opportunities here in Austin where I can now help Community Bucket, and it's a great way to connect with people.
That's great. So Matt, tell us a little bit about after Ian reached out and roped you into the host team there in Austin. What's it been like? Just tell us a little bit more about the experience of being on that team. And you mentioned some of the marketing things, but anything else event wise that the Austin team has been up to that has stood out for you?
Yeah, I think, it's such an interesting question because I feel like I came in kind of middle of 2019, and then it wasn't very soon after that like we had the pandemic. And it's funny because the main event that we were planning, which was in 2020, which was our last kind of real event before the pandemic, was our love our city thing. And I wasn't even actually there for that. That's kind of our running joke, is that like I wasn't even there for like the big event because I was actually in Ghana with this other nonprofit, which is I guess a good excuse, but so it's kind of funny like that, the biggest event I wasn't even there for. So, but jokes aside, I mean, it's such a great team. I think, what's cool is to see other like-minded people, like people that are really excited about their careers, but also like ready to like sacrifice time. And that's just really humbling to be a part of. And I think too, when you go to these events, it's so amazing to see so many people actually wanting to serve the community. And even when I tell friends about it, they're like, "Oh, I want to be a part of that." And I just think that there's there's an energy of people that like want to actually go and help. It's almost like they just don't know how or where to start. And so I feel like it's exciting that we're part of this team that can create these experiences for a lot of people that are looking for something like this. And I think that's probably the best thing, is that like I'm a part of a team that actually wants to serve Austin, and it's humbling. And I just feel super grateful to be surrounded by those people. And it's not like we see each other all the time. So when we do, it just feels like very natural. And I think our team just like, we just click really well. We can joke around and we keep up with each other. And it's just, yeah, it's just this really cool energy and vibe that we have. And I think it really kind of shows when we are at these events. I think that energy that we have as a core team really kind of spills out to the volunteers and the people that are coming out, which is really cool.
So I know we just had an event 2 weeks ago, right? Almost 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You were there.
I was there. Yes.
Yeah. I saw the pictures. It sounded great. Ian said that everything went smoothly. But on that point, anything you want to share about what the team was up to over at Zilker, and how that also was coming out of the pandemic, because this was the first real live event after last summer.
Yeah. So there are these botanical gardens. Let's back up. Zilker is this incredible park in Austin, and it's like this huge place. There's so many fields, and it's just beautiful. People have picnics out there. They play soccer. They bring their dogs out there. Austin City Limits, in October, there's a whole music festival that's out there on the park. It's just an iconic place, and people just love to be there. But kind of further back, there's an area where there's these botanical gardens. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And the thing is with the Austin parks and just in parks in general in most cities, it's just that there's so much work that needs to be done and there's just not enough time or people. Like think about just taking care of your own house, right? It's just like it's a lot to like take care of, right? You got to always constantly clean, you got to always do these things, right? And in the same way, nature needs that same upkeep. And so there's just not enough of that or help. And so we were able, there was about, I want to say a group of like, I want to say 18 in total, I think about 15 to 18 people. And we all were able to go out there and just kind of clean up, especially after, in February, where we had a very big winter storm. We had freezes and temperatures that, some of these trees have never even, have ever witnessed before, right? Or been through. And so there's a lot of damage that's happened within our nature and our ecosystem here in Austin because of that. And so there just needed to be a lot of cleanup. And so we were able to go out and just kind of rake a lot of the leaves and pull out weeds and just get everything. It was only like a little small part of this botanical gardens. There's still so much work that needs to be done. But I think, it was really great to be outside, so that was really safe. And I feel like everybody was just, the energy was just like, we want to just go out and do something. And I think that that's really exciting because, there is a lot that you can do online. And I really believe in like, giving money and donations and things like that. But it's almost harder to see the impact. But when you come onto a park and you see, okay, this is what it was before, and then like you're literally doing the work, and then like 3 hours later, you're like, oh wow, okay, I actually see the impact that like this is for this park. Like granted, you probably don't see the full impact of like these other, the main workers from the city who are like, wow, thank you so much. Like this would have taken us a long time to do. Like you don't see that full image, but at least you get to feel that impact in a way that you just haven't been able to do in so long. And so that honestly is just like, it's such an incredible feeling. Maybe it's a selfish feeling, I'm not sure, but it just feels so cool to actually be a part of that impact and see it literally with your own hands. That I feel like I've just missed. And I think a lot of people have missed that. And so I'm excited to see how we can get some more events going. We didn't have the same social aspect as we usually do, but I think, we took a vote and people are, more comfortable. People are getting vaccinated. People I think have a good idea of what they're comfortable with and not comfortable with. And, we're definitely trying to be, cater to everybody. But it's exciting to see as things open up, like what we can do with this like energy, right? To give and be, selfless. I know it's easy to want to be selfish now that we have this opening and be like, oh, I'm going to travel and do all these things. But I think it's also really great that there are people out there ready to be selfless and just give back to the city. And yeah, I know parks for sure are the only thing that were really open. And so it's cool to actually give back to the thing that was really the only thing that you could do during the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, Matt, the selflessness piece of it, I think is also, it goes both ways of you do get a really good feeling, as you said. People are able to make friends through Community Bucket. They're able to connect and so in a way that's not really selfish, but you are benefiting as well as really just giving up your time and giving back to the community. So it's definitely goes both ways, but it's far from selfish to want to go out and volunteer. And I love how you describe it and just that energy that the group feels. For anybody who hasn't been to a Community Bucket event, you got to try it to see for yourself. But I think for everyone who has been, they can probably listen to what you're saying, and that really resonates. So you touched on this, and I wanted to know anything just as we do come out of this pandemic and everything's opening up and really we start to capitalize on this energy to really just recommit to building this community. Anything you personally, Matt, are excited about either trying to bring to Community Bucket, or that the organization can accomplish going forward?
Yeah, I think, for me, what I see, especially in Austin, is there's a massive opportunity now. Um, a lot of, there on the news, you'll see that there's massive exodus from California, and lots of people are moving to Austin, right? Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, so many tech people. So there's a lot of money, and there's a lot of people moving to Austin. And there is a certain amount of like appeal to that. Wow, like the economy could be great, all this stuff. But for me, what I see this as is it's an opportunity to introduce culture to these people that haven't been here. One of the things that I think for me stood out when I moved to Austin, coming from the Northeast, coming from Boston, and then also having lived in Seattle. So I've lived in big cities. That's just like my life. Is what I loved about Austin was that I could go to a coffee shop and meet these people and just meet a random person, hang out. It was a good time. I also love Austin because people, like, we do work hard, but we also like have a good time, and our life is really like, work is just a component to life here in Austin, right? People have to be active, people like to be out and about. My worry with people moving into California during the pandemic is that they weren't able to actually experience that community, and maybe they're setting their roots down in a way that they don't understand community, right? Because places in big cities like in LA or San Francisco, it's not the same as Austin. It's just not. And so I think that as we're coming out of this pandemic, it's an opportunity to establish what Austin's going to be about. That yes, these people are moving in, and that's wonderful for the economy in so many ways, but we're not going to lose what makes Austin special. We're not going to lose what, like the opportunity to serve people. And I think that's just something that was so contagious and beautiful when I moved here. And I really want to set that example moving forward. And again, like, there's so many people moving here that are young, that kind of fit this perfect demographic of Community Bucket. And if we can really focus on these people coming in from California who are young, and love their career, but also want to give, if we can get them into our ecosystem, I think, again, that's where the impact is going to come when they're 30, when they're 40, when they're 50. So 10, 20 years from now, because they've been a part of this, right? It's almost like that trajectory is going to change their life, but also like think about the impact, if like where that's going to go. And so that's what I really want to focus on, is how can we help, get these younger people that are moving to the city who are excited about their first job or whatever, and really get them to start thinking about what else could they do for the rest of, Austin, and really give back. There's a lot of opportunity here, but let's set the example of giving back as well.
Yeah. I mean, I would love for you to help us maybe talk about what is coming next, right? Like, so how can they? You obviously have a goal of kind of getting the word out. Where can people find CB Austin? What if they're not involved? What are some tips maybe that you could share on kind of getting connected, kind of starting that process? Maybe you could share a few things that would be helpful for those who are not, and who, as you help to spread the word and spread that community.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, like, if you go online to Community Bucket, our Instagram handle, I'm gonna get this wrong. I think it's Community Bucket _ATX. I think that's it.
You got it.
That was like a pop quiz right there. But basically, I mean, connect through us online. We are trying to we're definitely trying to figure out what are events moving forward. The event that we had 2 weeks ago was such a great event, but it was also kind of like a test of like, hey, were people comfortable being outside? Would they be comfortable having a social event? So we kind of had a vote, and I think people are really excited and definitely more comfortable to do that. And so really, just following us there, you're going to get all the information that you need as we kind of start to set what are the next events, what do we want to do. It's definitely going to probably be some outdoor stuff to start, But luckily in Austin, we've got plenty of outdoor beer gardens, food truck parks, and all these amazing places that we can hang out and be, completely safe. And then, yeah, just kind of just reach out to us if you have any questions. We definitely want to like answer any of those questions and keep you in the loop for what those events are. We don't have specifics like the next event's going to be, in January or sorry, June or something like that. But we're planning on it. But we're really excited about what's coming. And I think we're really trying to focus on the quality. So really being able to, I think before the pandemic, we were like trying to do monthly events and doing a lot. And it just was a lot of planning and just logistics. And so I think right now what we're trying to do is focus on the quality so your experience is amazing. And then, to get our word out, like bring a friend. I know sometimes going to networking events and things like that can be weird, it can be awkward, but if you bring somebody that you can introduce your friend to the organization, to Community Buckets. There's more people, and then you feel also comfortable being there. But it's such a fun event, no matter what we're doing. And so definitely just keep following us online and wait for the details to come out for some really fun events to come.
Well, Matt, we didn't really dive into all of your the professional side and your passion for marketing and storytelling and branding, but I think you've actually shown us through through everything and how you just sell Community Bucket in Austin, and that passion comes through, especially just this whole idea of really connecting to making sure that Community Bucket can play a role in keeping Austin weird, but also keeping Austin the community feel that everyone there has known with all these new transplants, and really this longer term story. It's not about just showing up once, volunteering and never coming back, but really being part of a community and investing. So and building stories just through showing up and connecting with one another. So we are so thankful to have you on the host team down in Austin. And like I said, your passion comes through, and I know you've put a lot of great time and energy and mind share into the group there in making this what it is, and keeping us going through COVID as well. So we could keep talking, I'm sure, a lot, but we do want to wrap up, and we always end these with one final question. So the name of the podcast, We Dig Community, speaks for itself. As an organization, we dig community, but we always like to know what you, our guest, digs in your personal life, professional, whatever. So what do you dig, Matt?
Ooh, what do I dig? Oh, this is good. Well, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I really do appreciate it. It is such an honor to be able to kind of talk about Community Bucket here in Austin, and ultimately our goal to kind of impact this city for the future. What do I dig? Honestly, I dig getting a really great cup of coffee and sitting at a coffee shop with my wife and just reading. That's what we do Saturday mornings. And honestly, I've really started to focus on how can I slow down? How can I, rest? And so that's really what I'm digging right now. And so a good cup of coffee, you can never go wrong. I'm that guy that will spend $6 on a pour over. I drink my coffee black, so it's not that I'm paying a lot for oat milk. I'm paying for the black coffee, single origin, all that stuff, and a good book and just reading. That's what I enjoy the most. That's what I dig. This and if I could add about professional too, because I think this is also kind of what I dig is I dig people who want to use their skills, their work for good. And sometimes it's not that your job has to be like, oh, I work for a nonprofit or something like that, because like that's good, but finding ways where you can, if you work in tech and you make a lot of money, like how can you give back? How can you use your time to do that? How can you use your resources to do that? And that's something that I'm trying to figure out as an entrepreneur myself. As I build my business, how can I help other businesses that are doing great work and help them? And so that's what I dig. So I drink coffee while I work, a good cup of coffee, and I'm just trying to do good work through my business, and slow down. It's okay to rest at times. That's what I think I've learned a lot in the last year.
Well, I think that is a great way to wrap this up, and amen to the good cup of coffee. JC and I are equal fans. Matt, thank you. And for anybody listening, you will see Matt at hopefully the next Community Bucket event. So
I'll be there.
Thanks for all the work.
Thank you.
All right, take care.